This is a video that I've wanted to do for a while, but I've been wanting to get my research done so I could, express myself a little more clearly. I don't think that we Christian men actually take care of our health as well as we could. And of course, I think that we also don't take care of our sexual health as well as we could. We see all these commercials and things will pop up on your phone and just take a pill and everything will be fine. And so, well, should you or shouldn't you? Well, before we answer that question, I wanted to go back and do more of a proper diagnosis. Most of us Christian men, you've popped the hood and you've even been to your doctor and you understand dealing with a diagnosis. Let's see what the problem is and see how we can fix it. So, I wanted to start with some charts that I made to help us to diagnose the problem before we just jump to some kind of pill or something. I know if you take your car to a mechanic and they say, "Well, you just need a new engine," you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute." Before we jump into the deep end, let's get an idea of what we're talking about. So I have a chart here, and basically we're going to look at it like light catastrophic, medium catastrophic, and greatly catastrophic. Now these are my terms. I made these up. And I'm kind of leaning in from, like, let's say that you have a sprain on your arm. A sprain would be considered light catastrophic. It hurts. You fell on it, or something happened, and it's maybe you'll put some ice on it. Maybe you'll let it sit for a day. Let's nurse it up a little bit. Okay. Let's say you have a fracture. You have it X-rayed, and there's a fracture in there. Well, that means you got to wear a sleeve, and you have to be more careful with it. All this kind of stuff. It's going to take longer to heal. If you get a full break, that's going to be a different thing. That means you're putting on a cast. That means you have a lot, your life changes a lot, and maybe you'll even have to do some physical therapy to get this thing back to where it was. So, when you're dealing with ED, is the problems light, medium, or catastrophic? And that's something you have to figure out. And so, when we look at this, I think most of the times when men are dealing with ED problems, it's going to be medium or catastrophic. Most people will not have this problem if there's just a light, something light has happened to your body, or some light trauma has happened to your mind. It's not going to affect that part of your body. But let's say medium and great are going to affect. So we're going to look at some of the things that have an effect on your penis, on having erectile problems. And we're going to look at that. And I'm going to begin with some interventions. The interesting thing about looking at the interventions first, because they will show you both the problem and the solution, or a possible solution, as we're going. So instead of going down a list of possible problems and then showing possible solutions, I want to talk about the solutions and talk about the problems within the solution. To make this more clear, I believe that men need to consider what I'm calling naturopathic intervention. I'm calling mental intervention, pharmaceutical, which is over-the-counter interventionalism, and pharmaceutical, which is prescription interventions. So those are the four things that I'm looking at. Do you need to do naturopathic? Do you need to do a mental intervention? Do you need an over-the-counter? Just an over-the-counter medicine will fix this right up. Or do you need to be a little more serious and get a pharmaceutical intervention? Now, I have hypothyroidism. That means that naturopathic interventions aren't going to work. A mental intervention, just trying to think good thoughts, and get my whole self-image up. Taking some pharmaceuticals wasn't working. I now have to take levothyroxine, where I'm adding something to my body to make this work. Okay, but that came from going from diagnoses. So that's what we do. Again, you don't just put a cast on if it's a sprain, but you don't just put ice on it if it's a break. Have to have a proper diagnosis. So this next chart I wanted to get into talks about these. For number one, naturopathic, is I'm talking about doing anything that's natural, doing anything that's free. Like, for example, you have to get rid of porn. This is a problem. I think 90% of men watch it, and the other 10% lie about it. It's that big of a problem. You have to get off of this. And the more you get off of this, the more you start creating a proper understanding of the stimulation from the brain to the penis. A lot of times men are training themselves in their brain not to get aroused by their wives or by physical women. They're getting aroused. You're training yourself to be aroused by looking at pixelated pictures, looking at images, looking at your computer, or looking at your phone. That's where you're training. This part of your body is amoral. It's just a machine. It'll do whatever you want it to do, and it'll be trained however you want to train it. I have one of my videos I'm going to toss in here. The quality is okay. It was back last year when I didn't know I was going to do a YouTube channel, but it still has some good information about how you can mentally think about things and change your brain and your priorities. But if you're watching porn, that's probably 70% of the problem right there. Now, there may be underlying things. Sometimes these things are like cards on a table. You fix one and there's another. You fix one and there's another. I know that if you've ever worked on an engine, like a car engine, you think you fixed one thing, but you see a leak over here, or you fix that and you see that that's messed up. So you kind of have to do more of a holistic approach. You have to get rid of pornography. That's the big one. That's hiding everything, by the way. There's an analogy I'm going to use of a cup, like a styrofoam cup that has many holes in it. You can fix one hole, but you've still got water leaking through the others. You have to fix every hole in your cup. Now, that's just what some of these commercials give you a pill. Take it and it fixes a hole. Well, great. Water will go up to a certain point, but it's still going to go out and it's not going to fix it. You have to start fixing the holes in your cup. So, getting rid of porn. Second one is diet. We men are horrible with diet. We're overweight, we're pear-shaped. 20, 40, even 30 pounds will affect because the hormones going down and the circulation of your body has to go through all this fat, and it's just not getting down there. It's not sending the message in time, or you're not getting the blood flow necessary to create an erection because it's having to go through all this fat, plus all the other chemicals and the toxins and the preservatives that are in our foods and stuff. And this is also going to lead to poor self-image. Oh, poor me. I'm just so fat. I'm ugly or whatever. These are things we have in our head. You need to get exercise. You need to get this blood flowing every day. Now, I'm not talking about joining a gym. Just go for a walk or go for a run around. It doesn't take very long. There's also exercises men can do for their penis, for their prostate area. And there's one I'll throw here that I did about a tennis ball or a baseball that you can do a pelvic massage. You don't have to do it for very long, but there's that pelvic muscle, which is underneath between your legs. If you will just massage that externally, this helps because your prostate is up here. And sometimes the blood needs to be back and forth in it. You need to that's kind of a milking of this gland. And so when you do that, doing squats is good for your pelvic floor, which is also good for internal pelvic massage. There's also something called jelqing. This is not masturbation. It's where you take the penis and you just kind of pull it like this. It's a muscle. Sometimes it needs to be pulled, and you just need to get, those capillaries needs to have blood flowing into them. I don't know if you've ever sat around in a chair and you just want to stretch your back, or you just want to stretch your arms, or I got to go stretch my legs. Another part of your body that wants to be stretched. Sometimes you're at work, you need to excuse yourself, go to the bathroom. It's okay. It's all right to touch yourself. We shouldn't hate our bodies. Sometimes I think our churches and our women have us just hating our body. We should love our bodies. We should love that God created this, and every part of it is for His glory, but also it needs to be healthy and needs to do what God has provided for it to do. And sexual union is very important between a Christian man and a Christian woman. But if you're going to ignore your health, you also can't fulfill what God has asked you to do. So it's very important that you do this. So having this, there are also men, there's a video out there here also, the medical advances that have with doing a penis pump. This is also not a masturbator. All it does is, again, creates a vacuum to where the blood can flow in, and you get it's a nice artificial, if you will, erection, but it's good for the capillaries, and it's good for the vessels. It's only done as a medical thing, as an exercise. You're not going to get anything out of it. There are men who are looking into that. So also, those are exercises you can do. Plus, stretch yourself, go out for a walk. Third one I want to talk about real quick is grounding. You'll see a lot about this. We as men need to connect with our environment. We get up and put on shoes and we stand on concrete and we go outside and we drive in cars, we go to work, come home. We take off our shoes right before we go to bed. We were meant to connect with the earth. Our fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers got out and got dirt in their face, dirt in their shoes, dirt in their socks. They have all those nice microbes just flowing through their bodies. We need to do that. We need the vitamin D. We need the natural sunlight. We need fresh air. It's good for us. So doing this, getting fresh air, getting sunlight, get out there for just 5 minutes in the morning. Also, looking at the colors of nature. When you're looking at these screens, when you're looking at computers, you're not seeing natural colors. Our eyes and our brain want to see natural colors. I was thinking about this. I was driving home and looking at the trees around me, looking at the greens and the browns and all this stuff. Our eyes want this. Our brains want this. This is soothing, but we don't do this enough. So that's what you can do for naturopathic intervention, and I'm sure there's more. The second one I wanted to talk about was mental interventions. Many men don't know. Again, I leaned into it with porn. Porn is you training your brain to only be aroused by pixelations, by computer screens or telephones or something, videos, disc, whatever. This is a problem. I have a video I'll put up that I did. The quality isn't as best as I would like. I was only doing it for family at the time. I thought about redoing it, but it has some good information. Here, we're talking about how your brain has synapses, and it's called neuroplasticity, in which you will create things and make connections. But sometimes we'll make poor connections and make them worse and worse, and we have to pull back. We have to stop thinking certain thoughts. If you think thoughts of hatred about yourself or worthlessness about yourself, you need to think proper thoughts about yourself and create natural mental balance. So you have an unbalanced mind if you're addicted to porn, but also it comes up with other problems. If you have problems with your wife, maybe you need to have a conversation. Needs, wants, expectations, places where you need to ask for forgiveness, places where she needs to ask for forgiveness. Thinking about other relationships you've had, like, did your mom and dad berate you? Did they mentally abuse you? Did you get some of your bad self-esteem from them? You got to unwind that clock. Past girlfriends, grandmothers, aunts, many of these are non-sexual, but still have an effect on your self-image. So you have to look at these. Is there something in your past or something that you've had that you need to take care of mentally? I've got something that I heard a man say once, and this has helped me a lot in that area. He said, I accept my inner innocence. The places where I made mistakes in the past, I accept that as mental innocence. Some of it I did because I did. I got to forgive myself from other sins. Self-forgiveness is very important. Proper self-image is very important. Sometimes we get that from moms who are you a good boy? Did you do enough? Did you do this right? Did you that right? It's all conditional acceptance. It's not unconditional love. We like to say that women and moms give unconditional love. Mostly it's only if you're a good boy. So this is something you have to mentally go through your mind. I'll lean a little bit on dreams. Sometimes dreams will reveal something about your mind. I want to do a video on dreams later on. But sometimes as a man too, your dreams will reveal something about you that you need to deal with. Maybe it's a trauma, maybe it's a light trauma. You just need to get out of the way. Sometimes men, I leaned into this, is that you will not allow yourselves to have sexual dreams because that's being a sinner, and and it's just me and another woman or something. No, that's your mind saying it's okay to be a sexual person. It's okay to think of yourself as a person with sexual needs and sexual wants, and to be a sexual man. It's okay to be that because you have to give yourself mental permission. You have to give yourself mental permission. That doesn't mean you're going to act on it in adultery, as an adulterer. But do you give yourself permission to be a sexual man? So if you're having sexual dreams, that's actually a good thing because then you're allowing yourself to think of yourself, and you should care yourself, not just for other women really, but for your wife sitting around. How you said this isn't about being leery or being a lurch or a leech or whatever, a creep. This is just like being a man who's confident in himself, who trims up his beard, maybe gets a haircut, wear some smelling, wear some cologne, put on a nicer shirt. Don't sit around with just crumbs all over your shirt, and patting them off and just eating all kinds of junk food. Let your wife see you go out and take a walk. See you go off and lift and carry. I'm saying that a man should, your belly should always be smaller than your chest. But you need to look into the mental problems here. The third part I'm talking about is pharmaceutical over the counter interventions. You need to try those, and those may take up, 6 months to a year. Do some of those first before you jump into something you saw on a screen somewhere, or you're going to run to the doctor, because doctors will give you whatever you want. It's kind of your choice, unless they know it will counteract with something you're already taking. They'll say try it if you want, but it's your call. They're not going to say no if it won't counteract. Hey, here, try this and see if it works. But it's your choice. So pharmaceutical interventions like L-arginine or L-citrulline, these you can take in pill form and see if it changes something. Sometimes these will change right off the bat, and that's all you need. You can keep running. Like I've said before, some of these may fix themselves if you have a medium catastrophic. Like I said, most people with light catastrophics, this isn't going to affect at all. ED isn't going to be a problem. But if porn or poor diet or no grounding or no exercise has been your problem, then maybe, and you're dealing with these problems with women in your life and stuff, taking some of these might fix. It might just up and running. Okay, here you go. Then you can stop or maintain there. L-arginine is good. It just kind of opens up the vasculars. It just kind of opens up things. So does L-citrulline. You've got maca, which is about putting more hormones into you. Some people even take um, gels for testosterone gels, and they'll rub it in. You can get that. That's a prescription. So I got ahead of myself there. But taking some of these, and you have to be careful taking over-the-counter testosterone. That's where it's going to go. You'll see all kinds of. Be careful with anything over the counter that it doesn't cross with anything you're already taking. So just jumping into, oh, this says Ultraman or something like that, and you're just going to pop that and go. You kind of need to look at the ingredients. You kind of need to do your research. Is this going to be a problem based on something else you're having to take? Can't just grab the Ultraman bottle and become Ultraman. You might become ultra sick. Macaroon, Tonkat Alley, although that one is one that's kind of powerful. You got to be careful how you take that one. It might cross with something. Sometimes there's a lot of more naturopathic things you'll find on the internet, like taking more lemon juice in water, or mixing up things, putting a little cayenne pepper. Watermelon is natural citrulline. You'll run across a lot of those things, over the counter, grocery store kind of stuff that you can do. Look into those and see if they don't fix it. If you've done all of this, if you've done the diet, I've done the exercises, I'm grounding every day, I'm taking care of my mental health, and I'm thinking good things about myself, I'm giving myself permissions, I'm working things out with my wife, and I forgive my mom and my dad and my grandma and all of them. I'm working with my dreams, they're getting better. I've taken these things, I've looked at Largine, I've taken some maca for a month, and each one of these should be taken for a month. You got to see if they work. So this is a longer process. It's a longer process than some men will want to take. We want to watch a video, go to the store, take a pill, pop it in, and all of a sudden we're raring to go. But here's where we talk about some of those dangers. When you get to pharmaceutical interventions, you have to be very careful, because it's also based on all these other things. I found that tadalafil, which is also known as Cialis, it's very interesting how that works. You also have to know how the medicine works. Tadalafil, Cialis, actually works with the lungs. That's interesting. It doesn't just work with the penis and blood flow. It starts at the lungs, and it'll give you more oxygenation, and it creates that, because nitrous oxide in the lungs is very important. It's very important for getting a proper and maintaining a proper erection. It's nitrous oxide. You'll see a lot of people want to give you nitrous oxide pills, but those pills won't work if your lungs aren't correct. Those of us with asthma, some people that have mild COPD or any kind of bronchial problem, um, you're going to have to, maybe this will help. I'm taking tadalafil not because of what it does, but also it's helping my lungs. This is odd. This is really good that I'm taking less of my asthma medicine, and I'm feeling better from my lungs point of view. I'm not fighting for my breath. I was taking my rescue inhaler maybe 4 times a day. Now I'm down to maybe once every other day. That's nice. So we have this, and this thing it's prescription, but it's as needed. You don't have to take it every day like I do my levothyroxine. You're not out to build up anything. You just take it right before you need it, or if you're not going to be doing anything, take it for your lungs. But so that one's not bad. And some people are finding that they can take one pill and it works for 4 days. or it fixes it completely. 1 or 2 pills. You don't have to take these things forever. If you're fixing the other things on this list that we've talked about, these might not be a forever pill. Now we're going to talk about the big one, the big V, Viagra. That one, from what I've researched, you need to do your own research on this, has created a lot of problems. Because how it works is it forces blood into the penis. It forces it in and creates this erection, which there have been some people, or there have been warnings of you could have an erection for 2 to 4 hours. I mean, imagine the pain on that. I mean, imagine you took a pill and it forced your arm out and it stayed there for 4 hours. How much pain is happening to your arm because it's been forced out like that? Even with a natural erection will go from really erect to a little to a big to small. You'll notice this as a man. It doesn't stay like 100%. It might go 95, 96, 97, 100, 100. It stays in the zone. Probably you don't know the difference, but yet something that just pumps it right up there and leaves it can be very dangerous to your capillaries, can be very dangerous to your vascular health. And if you already have these problems because of your lack of good diet, because of your lack of exercise, because of your lack of grounding, because of mental problems with your wife, and because of how your mom talked to you, and because of I've tried none of these pharmaceuticals, and that leapfrogging to the bottom to take this pill could be very damaging to your system. It could be. You need to make sure that these others have been done first. This can be very damaging to your system. So that's something we did look at. Sometimes these commercials on whatever site you're on or on TV are there to sell pills. They're not there to really help you, they're there to help them. So at the end of this, should a Christian take ED medicine? Should a Christian take Viagra? And my answer is maybe, but maybe not. You have to do at least a few months diagnostics. You got to do the diet against exercise, grounding, dealing with the mental things with your wife and stuff, going back and looking at a pharmaceutical amount to see if any of it helps. Then try tadalafil, see if that works. If not, then you might have to go into that realm. Now, one thing I'll say in closing, of course, I'm going to remind you to get off pornography. Viagra and maybe even tadalafil have a problem with anyone who takes nitrates. If you take anything for your heart or anything for your high blood pressure, you might be stuck with just the first 3 interventions. You will probably not want to go there because it could become life threatening. You'd have to see your doctor for all of this, but talk to your doctor before. I mean, you've got to do that to get a prescription anyway. But if you find out that you're one of those people that has these heart problems, look at this list. You might fix enough on this list to get you by. Imagine I'm talking about this cup with the holes. Imagine it's got 12 holes and you've patched 10 of them and it'll do what it can, do what it can do. Good, you're there. But if you have 12 holes in your cup and you've only patched one, how much have you done? So, should a Christian man take Viagra? Well, like I'm going to say, do your other research first. Do your diagnosis. Because a diagnosis and facts will lead to options, and options can lead to a better outcome. Don't just take it because a guy on a TV screen is telling you should. Take it because you think you should after your diagnosis.